I got exposed to flying at a very early age. My father learned to fly as an enlisted man at the end of the Second World War. And starting when I was 4 or 5 years old, he would always take me for an airplane ride. Grew up in a very small town, less than 1,000 people, and early on thought that going to the Air Force Academy or Annapolis would be something that would be great. My parents had limited financial resources, so it provided a great opportunity for me to get a great education. As I got farther along, the Air Force Academy had a lot more appeal to me than the other service academies, so I set my sights on that. I'd say my most vivid memory as my time as a cadet, other than graduation, of course, which of course is vivid memory for everybody, but it's when we first were transitioning in and everyone was brought in Arnold Hall and they go through the ritual of people who are president of the class stand up, people who are, valedictorians stand up. Everybody kept standing up around me, and then they said, well, look to your left, look to your right. One of you is not going to be there. I thought, holy smokes, probably going to be me. All of a sudden, I'm in classes with people who are ultimately going to be Rhodes Scholars. So it was quite a transition for me. The issue of me being a pilot did not play out at the end. At the end, I was not pilot qualified. I may not have been pilot qualified, quite frankly, when I got the appointment. But by graduation, I had bad eyes, bad ears, and bad depth perception. I may not be qualified to drive a car or a boat, but you definitely don't want me in an airplane. It was disappointing, at first, but I dealt with it and moved on. I left there and went immediately to UCLA, undergraduate program that the Air Force Academy had set up so that you could get an MBA. I realized by not being rated I was never going to be a chief of staff or maybe even a general officer or the like. And so I decided to take a different path, take the road less traveled by, and decided to go into business. My initial job after I got out of the Air Force was in pharmaceutical distribution. I joined a small family company. Ultimately, I became the co-chief operating officer of what was a relatively large company. 2 years into our public company life, the then CEO got crosswise with the board and was fired. And the board's sitting around boardroom and the doors open, and they're trying to decide who's going to be the next CEO. And I walked by the boardroom, on my way to get a cup of coffee, and somebody looks up and says, "Hey, Yost, how about Yost? This company's so easy. Probably Yost could even run the thing." I mean, it's all it's almost like that. Probably the most noteworthy thing that probably occurred to me as a public company CEO occurred on September 11th, the time we were attacked. We're in the boardroom, very ornate boardroom. Our meeting has started, and when the second plane hit, there was kind of a rumbling, and the room kind of shook. The windows, big windows, swung out and swung back in, and people were coming in, all covered with soot and the like. And there was some concern that the New York Stock Exchange would also be attacked, since it was clearly a symbol of capitalism. The next year, when the first year anniversary, they called us up and said, "Hey, we're going to have a reunion for everybody who was there. We're going to have the policemen and the firemen, and since you were going to ring the bell on September 11th, we'd like to have you come back and ring the bell." And we said, "Well, thank you very much, but that's really a day for the firemen and the policemen. We'll come back another time." So we went back another time and took our spouses back and kind of recreated the issue. People were a little surprised when I said I was going to retire at 64, starting with the board. I came to my board at age 62, but I had accomplished, what I wanted to accomplish, and I was ready for the next challenge, and I was ready to step aside and let the people who I had worked with very closely, who I knew could do a good job of running AmerisourceBergen, and do that. And that's exactly what they did. And the stock doubled in the 5 years that I left. So it turned out to be a very good decision. I've spent a lot of time with the Air Force Academy since I retired. And I will tell you, it has been wonderful. I mean, I have gotten a lot more out of it than I've put into it. And I would encourage everybody to do the same thing. Well, I will tell you, when I was named a distinguished graduate, it absolutely blew me away. Without question, it's the most extraordinary honor I've ever had. I want the distinguished graduates, current and former, future distinguished graduates, other academy graduates, to know that I realize that what I have accomplished is not even in the same league. I mean, I mean that sincerely. When I read about what some of the other distinguished graduates have done and what other Air Force Academy graduates have done, I'm just blown away. To me, this is off the charts. If I had to hand out thank yous, clearly one to my spouse would be an important one. She was my Air Force Academy sweetheart. I met her when I was a dually, and she's been by my side, for the duration, sometimes she's been my greatest supporter, my greatest critic. Sometimes I say that she maybe overachieves in the latter, but she's been by my side the entire time. So again, it comes back to the training at the Academy is clearly extraordinary, and you wrap that all together with the character development and the honor code, the extraordinary academics, the military discipline, the athletics. It's quite an experience, and it was a great opportunity for me. And I think my life would have been dramatically different without that.